Hello everyone, this is Jer. Just having a look at Clay's update about their future DLC. Back in February, they talked about a cold asteroid. Kind of looks like that's still the case. So sign me up, I'm excited as these guys. I want to go. What is this load of junk? Oh, it's brains! Ready to do some scientific research for us. Oh, wait a minute, that's not brains. They're probably excited to go on this mission too. It's the cold asteroid. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Wait a minute, no! Oh, apparently they had a bad dream about it. Oh no, what happened in that crazy dream of theirs? He's begging them not to go. Oh, please talk some common sense into him. We've got to go find out what this is all about. Go back to bed. You'll be fine. The rest of the team are arguing who goes on this mission. I think we might just have our winner. That's astronaut. Oh, wait a minute. I guess you're being left behind. You're gonna be all alone while the other guys go on their mission. Oh, or not. Here we go, guys. So the DLC is not quite ready yet, but I'm gonna do another prep run through. There's gonna be new critters and plants and all this in this DLC, it looks like. But I've got practice mission coming up once more. Obviously, I can't go to this particular asteroid right now, but I think the best way to prepare for this future mission is to go to this cold asteroid over here. I'm going to roll this until I get some really chilly settings. I've chose the Rime asteroid, but it also has large glaciers and a frozen core, so it should be extra chilly. Hoping that this playthrough is going to go quick, so just the default settings on everything, but there is a few special rules. First of all, no infinite gas and liquid stores. No using pips to plant massive farms for food. No deploying a rover on an asteroid the duplicant is already on. And finally, no melting a rocket wall so you can build a massive rockets like the one here, my last playthrough. With all that out of the way, we are off. So these are the 3 dupes that I'm going to be training on for this mission. We've got Brains, it's going to be unlocking a lot of the research for us. Rock, that's going to do a lot of the digging and setting up the base. They're good with construction. And Spark, I'm going to get them to work towards the electrical engineer and then mechatronics engineering skill. The name of the colony is Cold Cure, partially because I'm exploring this cold asteroid, but also I'm actually getting over the cold, why I haven't uploaded any videos from difficulty speaking. We have just arrived on this chilly asteroid just before we begin though. Let's have a little look around. We've got some water above us and below us. Again, this is not the DLC. This is just a practice mission. And prep for that is pretty cold. Let's see, decent temperature in the center, but it gets quite cold as we get further out. About, minus 40, I think, in a few places down there. Let's look out in space to see some of the things that we're going to get. We've got copper, ice, and slimy meteorites. We've got cool steam, natural gas, salt water, oil, reservoir, and 12 other geysers. And of course our 2 cold world traits. I'll go make a plan and then we'll get started for these guys. I'm going to try to go at this from the duplicant's perspective. They're going to prioritize on digging out 2 rooms. They don't want to sleep on the floor. And they don't want to make a mess on the floor either, so they're digging up and down. They'll have a place to sleep, place to use the washroom if they need to get up and down. And they're thinking to themselves, they want a ladder. That this also is going to open up a place for the carbon dioxide that they're breathing out to fall down to over here. place for oxygen here to get up so that these guys can breathe for a little bit longer until we find a way to produce our own oxygen, which we don't have. Relying completely just on oxalite for the moment. So they discover a shine bug up here. It's really cool, but that would probably be pretty annoying if that were to go into the barracks that they're constructing. So we're going to create this wall here. We'll see if we can prioritize that, and hopefully the shine bug won't follow them in. But here's the design they came up with. We've got a latrine down here, a place to use the, or wash your hands as you're exiting. Several outhouses, and then one cot for each of the duplicants up here in their barracks. You really have this carved out so that the shine bug can't get in. We nearly have a latrine. We also have barracks up above, so the dupes have a place to sleep at night. They're going to be excited about that. They also have a place to relieve themselves without making a mess all over the floor, where they'll have to walk in it. Quite nice. Next step after this, they decide they want to have some water so that they can actually fill the wash basin and wash their hands when they leave the latrine. So they're going to go down here and build a pitcher pump where they've discovered some water. It's the end of the first cycle. Duplicants are going to find something to eat, use the washroom, and then be off to bed in the barracks. Priority is digging out a spot here to get down to the pitcher pump. And after this is built, we're going to set up a laboratory up here and a power plant down here. It's going to allow us to generate some power that we can take up and bring into our laboratory. Plus, we'll need a place to produce some oxygen. Make sure we've got some metal for that. Brains is building the manual generator that's going to provide power for these dupes. It's going to allow us to do some production of research. Plus, we want to also produce some oxygen. We'll put a spot up here for oxygen diffuser, so these guys can breathe. First thing the dupes decide to research is meal preparation. Everyone's sleeping comfortably at the end of cycle 2. After a little bit of annoying cleanup, the duplicants decide they've got better priorities, so instead of spending time disinfecting, they're going to concentrate on constructing. They also notice that they're going to have a new friend soon, half a cycle, so they're going to prioritize on creating a bed for that dupe. With meal preparation complete, the dupes decide they want to have a place to be able to eat together, so they're going to make a mess hall. A new friend has joined the team. This is Whisper, interested in research, ranching, rocketry. They're a quick learner. They'll be able to find a cot, to find a place to sleep, and soon a place to be able to eat at in the mess hall. Spark is putting the finishing touches on a new mess hall. So now we've got a place for our friends to be able to eat at. But there's a bit of a concern. There's lots of carbon dioxide down every time the dupes go down to get some water. So the plan is to dig out a spot to have all the carbon dioxide to flow down out of the way so they can get some water without having to hold their breath so long. End of cycle 3. Our friends are able to find a place on the table to eat together, use the washroom, and sleep. And they'll start the next cycle with some more projects. Brains decides to do some research to build a rock crusher, while the rest of the team decide it might be really nice to have a place to actually drink water, and a little bit of decoration might really boost morale when the dupes are eating. After doing some digging, they finally managed to break the seal in this little vacuum area. So all this carbon dioxide that they've been breathing out, that's been accumulating at the bottom, will finally have a place to go. Brains decides to get to work on air systems research. With the oxygen level coming up on our bottom floor, the dupes decide they're going to build a rock crusher. Make sure that has some power. And of course, with some research on air systems, an electrolyzer is built with a pump to be able to provide that with some water. Things are going pretty well, so the dupes decide they want to have more friends join them to help set up on this really cold asteroid. Have a look at the temperature. It is a very chilly place indeed. So we're going to create 2 more tables and 2 more cots for future dupes. It'll be less than a cycle until the next duplicate joins. First bit of metal can also be created. With the first piece of metal created, the dupes decide the first thing they're going to use that for is automated lights, so that they can actually see what they're doing when they're using the rock crusher. After doing some skill upgrade, the dupes decide they're going to reward themselves with custom hats to show off their individual skills. Dupes are deciding on the next friend to bring over, and they decide to bring over Crit, who's very interested in ranching. It's going to be very good for their food production going forward. They also make the decision to split their schedule so that there's 4 of them working at a time. They decide it's unfair to put Crit in their own schedule, so Brains decides to join them so that they have someone to eat and sleep with. Brains has the idea to build a supercomputer. Supercomputer takes water to do some cooling, though this world really should provide all the cooling that we actually need. But nonetheless, the friends decide they're going to build a pitcher pump right next to that supercomputer and dump water right next to it to make it easy to load in some water into our new supercomputer. After the supercomputer is built, the dupes decide they need to start loading in some water and setting up kitchen area to produce their own food. They can't go discovering food and buried objects forever. Water starts loading into the pitcher pump area. Supercomputer is being used by Brains. And then we've got the micro musher. And the dupes decide they're going to give that a test. Tries creating out some mush bars. Look. We also have a plan to create a jumbo battery in the power plant. Next decision is to carve out a spot for a future stable going above the laboratory. At the beginning of Cycle 9, the dupes have a meeting and decide the next priority is to complete a stable. Fit with a drop-off station, critter feeder, and of course a grooming station. Don't forget the automated lights though as well. Dupes have to decide if things are comfortable enough to take on another duplicate at this point. They see an option of some hatch eggs though, and that might have future potential for barbecue meat, so they decide to take that in and wait for another dupe on the next time the printing pod is available. The oxygen situation isn't looking the best, so a decision is made to build a second electrolyzer. We're going to put that just inside the stable, such that it's not going to bother the critters that are eventually going to be in there. Of course, we need some water and power for that machine. Dupes can breathe a little bit easier now that they know that 2 electrolyzers are running different spots around the base. Hydrogen level, though, is starting to build up. Brain's finishing up a little bit of research. That's given us access to this incubator. Also going to make a hydrogen generator a research priority, because we've got way too much hydrogen building up. At some point, this pump's not going to be in water anymore, so the dupes decide it might be smart to build a pump much lower. Pump needs to be built underwater, but nearly is going to be created. Next thing the dupes decide to do is to dig up into this area, because they want to pump in some hydrogen to a hydrogen generator, but they don't want to mix that with carbon dioxide, so they figure if they open this up, they'll get that carbon dioxide out of the way. This is a very big moment. Whisper gets the critter ranching 1 skill. We'll be able to drop some hatches off right here. Things are looking good, so the duplicants decide to bring in someone else. This is Pan. They're interested in doctoring, cooking, and researching. Their first priority is going to be concentrating in the kitchen area, so they're going to be given the grilling skill. Spark has some big plans for a power plant. Power control station is going to allow us to perform some tune-ups. But we also have a hydrogen generator connected to a smart battery. And if the duplicates decide to put an automation wire between them, that's going to allow them to decide when a hydrogen generator needs to run. Han heads to the kitchen and decides to start converting the mush bars into mush fry. Pan is just about to create the first mush fry. Dupes aside, from this point on, people will only eat mush fry, not mush bars. Same is true with meat. Unless the meat is cooked, no one's going to eat it. Spark is learning electrical engineering skill. First microchip is being made by Spark. They'll use that to upgrade the manual generator and the future hydrogen generator. One thing the dupes will want to do is make sure they get some hydrogen inside the hydrogen generator. They can do that with gas pipes, going from here all the way to a pump, which is located up towards the top. Of course, that pump needs some power, so we'll make sure that has some power as well. Whispers found out that the critters feel a little cramped, so their dupes are both going to remove some eggs and make this stable a little bit bigger. Now, when anyone's running on the manual generator, they're creating 600 watts instead of 400 watts of power. Oxygen had been getting low. Looks like a piece of dirt had fallen on the pump the dupes had down here. Now that's running, that should bring the oxygen level once water gets visiting our 2 electrolyzers once again. Dupes have built an incubator. Whisper is giving that some attention. That's adding a lullaby effect to one of our eggs from the hatches. Of course, they're going to remove that egg as to not waste power when they leave. Hydrogen pump starts operating. That's sending hydrogen down towards the hydrogen generator. The dupes decide now is a good time to actually split their circuit in 2. So they're going to go cut the smaller wire down here. And with the transformer, they're going to connect that with the power connecting to the rest of the base. One concern they have, though, is at some point oxygen is going to make its way up. And that'll go into this pump, which will ultimately go into this hydrogen generator and break. but they're going to do some research to fix that. It's getting difficult to breathe. I'm going to have to do something with all this hydrogen. Whisper is gone in the incubator room. In this cycle, instead of doing one egg, they're going to do a whole set. They're not going to leave the room until they do every single egg. Right, Whisper? Oh, maybe not that egg, though. So first egg gets put in. Whisper gives that some attention. As soon as that is out, they're going to remove it and add the next egg. Oh, let me just add a little connection between these two so that Whisper can get out of the way. And after that, they'll move on to the next egg. Beginning of cycle 17, the dupes decide there's way too much hydrogen in the rooms, so they're deciding to put in some mesh tiles, so the hydrogen on the top of each room can get out of the way. Things are going well, so the dupes decide they're going to bring on another dupe. This is Hammer, very good at building, so that's going to help us set up the base even further. Gas pump for hydrogen has been raised a little bit higher. The dupes decided it'd be fun if they could fly down on a fire pole every time they want to travel down. The dupes decide it's time for a metal refinery. This is going to allow us to create metal more efficiently, but because it's so cold, this machine outputs very hot liquid, which will be very nice. They're going to source the water that they're using the regular pump for the input of this, and just dump this hotter liquid down here. Spark decided there's too much power trying to go out and feed all the machineries, so they decided they're going to split the circuit in two. So we've got one circuit that's going to visit the kitchen and research station, and a circuit for everything else. It's been decided a second stable is wanted. It's going to be just above this one here. So we're going to dig out this, and we're going to have all the water splosh down here. So water is starting to drip from this location, making its way down to the bottom of the base. Whisper does not enjoy working in the incubator because of all the hydrogen. So what the dupes have decided to do, they're going to build a gas reservoir to store some excess hydrogen while it is waiting to be burnt in the hydrogen generator. Our next dupe to join the team is Owl. They're obviously a night owl, interested in supplying research. We've got to make sure we've got a cot for them. It might be a very wet cot if we don't take care of this ice, though. The dupes have decided on a policy of prioritizing on picking up ice and storing it down here so it doesn't melt in places like where the dupes are sleeping. Some automation is being installed so we can know if hydrogen is in the area, whether that'll determine whether this pump is on or not. The duplicants really wanted to have a nature reserve every time they go in and out of some of their common areas. The problem is the area they chose is just too big, so they decided to make a wall just to make it a little bit more comfortable and feel like a nature reserve. So with the new wall, the dupes kind of have a feeling that this is a nature reserve anytime they go in and out of these rooms. And they decide the next thing they want to do is have another stable. Currently have 5 of these critters, but eventually they'd like to have more, so that everyone can eat some barbecue meat. So oxygen level in here could definitely be better. Dupes decided they're going to make some mesh tile here so that oxygen that comes out of the electrolyzer can flow down. They've also put in plans for another electrolyzer up in this stable. Another electrolyzer is going in because oxygen is still quite thin around some of these areas. got some new hatches that have been born. They're going to be brought over here to one of our stables. The dupes were getting tired of walking on rough flooring, so they're installing some granite tiling in their barracks in the train. The dupes decide they want to take a shower. Now normally when I play this game I have shifts of 2, but they really want to have shifts of 4 so that they can be together. So there are going to be 4 showers right here. Then we're going to have another set of bathrooms. And they like to have private bathrooms, so we're going to have separate doors between them just so that they're in their own space and they're each flushing the toilet. So the plan is to put all this in there and then store some polluted water that's used that they'll hopefully deal with later on at some point. So all the piping's going in now, and eventually all the actual toilets and sinks will go in after. As construction is going on, they notice that things are getting a little bit wet. That's because there's ice above here. So the plan is to create a door. It'd be good to have more dupes join the team anyway, so we'll expand the barracks up here, dig out some of this ice before it melts, have that stored away down where we want water to be anyway. To deal with all the melting water, and try to avoid that to sit in the latrine. The dupes carved out this spot for water to exist. They're going to do some mopping here, and they'll put this tile back once all this ice is out of the way. Rock is cutting into the ice, while the rest of the dupes carry that down to the lower section, where we're going to store that right here. It is time to get the 9th dupe. So Chop is going to join the team interested in supplying, cooking, and tidying. 3 positive traits. Well, not the best digger though. So they're going to be added. We're going to put them in a schedule down here. Let's see. There is Chop. Now these dupes don't like to be by themselves, so one of the dupes is from up here is going to volunteer to join them on the same schedule. So Hammer will be with that dupe. We've got a cot set up here for them, but we've got to get that built and mop up in this zone as well. All the ice has been removed, just a little bit of mopping up, and we should stop seeing water in this zone. So they've got a design for their washrooms. Now the dupes don't enjoy using the washroom when they can't see, but Spark does not like the idea of having lights on all the time, so he's making sure that there's automated lights to be able to turn lights off when the dupes are not in the washroom. There's a shine bug in the barracks. The dupes are not going to be happy about that when they sleep. So Crit goes in and removes that. They're going to take it down to the washroom down here. And this is going to give some little bit early access to light while we put in some wiring for the lighting within the actual washroom itself. Hammer is installing the liquid reservoir. That's where some excess polluted water from the washroom is going to be stored. And with some running water, the dupes are tearing down the outhouses. So they don't have to use outhouses anymore, which is very nice. It's been nearly 30 cycles, and the dupes still haven't had a shower, so it is definitely time for them to install those so that they can take a little bit of a shower and make themselves smell a little bit better in the morning. First showers are installed. Rock and Whisper take advantage of that. And the next thing the dupes do is add a little airflow down here for carbon dioxide to flow down. We don't want that cooling up, especially in the barracks at night. They also want to have access to light when they eat. Probably a good idea. After some lights are installed in the Great Hall, the next thing that needs to be done is set up another stable. The third stable is nearly complete, but there's lots of complaints about stinkiness around the base. So the dupes decided to do 2 things. First of all, they're going to dump polluted water here and have that pushed into a liquid reservoir. But there's also polluted dirt, so they're going to do some composting. That's going to happen down here with the deodorizers around both locations. The next dupe to join the team is Care, interested in supply, doctoring, decorating. They also are a caregiver and a green thumb. The dupes now have a place to put polluted water, as well as polluted dirt. This might remove all the polluted water and the polluted dirt from the base, but there still is some stinky air around. So what the dupes have decided to do is put some deodorizers in a central area and hope that's going to clean the air. There seems to be too much power on this one line. So what Spark decides to do is we're going to take the kitchen and the research area and connect this and disconnect this so that we've got two electrolyzers that aren't on the main circuitry. Working on the compost can be a little difficult, so the dupes decide to install some lighting so they can at least see what they're doing when they're in the compost. So several extra liquid reservoirs are built to store polluted water. There is concern that when this fills up, the dupes may not notice, so they install a notification. Be alerted. Up until this point, it's pretty similar to what I would normally do in a playthrough. Coldness hasn't really affected much, other than the fact that the dupes themselves are a little bit chilly. But at this point, they're very concerned about the freezing temperatures. So Brain is working on liquid tuning. That's going to give us access to radiant liquid pipes and liquid tempedizer. And we're going to start to address this freezing temperature so that the dupes can sleep and live in a little bit more of a warmer, comfortable temperature. So they're digging out this zone. They're installing the first insulated tiles around here. And they're going to put some radiant pipes with the liquid tempedizer and some water to actually create some heat. And then they're going to pump that throughout the base. Once we've got some liquid running and heating things up, we'll then insulate all around so that we can maintain and keep the central area where the dupes are living warm. Research has been complete on liquid tuning. So the dupes are installing the liquid tempedizer right in the central area. They've got granite slab underneath. They're going to be dumping some water in here, taking the temperature, and if this thing needs to be heated, heating will take place. And we're spending a good amount of metal on radiant liquid pipes to go into this zone to take the heat that will eventually transfer that to the rest of the base. Of course, we're going to have a good amount of power needed for that, so we're going to have a heavy wire line going down to visit that guy. Water starts to pour into the liquid tempedizer area. The dupes are starting on construction of the liquid line that's going to go all through the base. They're making this out of granite. Now there is only so much granite available to them at the moment, so what they're going to have to do is dig out more of it. The liquid tempedizer starts to run and heat up this zone. Spark is concerned that the new liquid tempedizer is taking lots of power, so they're going to build another manual generator. With some more granite mined out, the dupes are continuing on, taking this heating line all the way around the base. The heating line is pretty much ready to go. The only thing the dupes have to do is put in some liquid. They have two choices. They can either bring in some water, or they have some polluted water up here. Now, they're going to choose the polluted water because that has less risk of actually breaking into pipes. It also is something that's just sitting there where water actually produces oxygen for them, so that seems to be the best choice. Polluted water line is making its way through the base. With the heating line going around the base, the dupes are doing some insulation so they can keep that heat from escaping into the outer asteroid. Some insulation going in on the top of the base, as well as the side as well. One thing the dupes want to do is be very careful when they're insulating around the nature reserve. So they're going to go below it to make sure we've got at least 4 wild plants. To make sure that we've got nature reserve anytime dupes go in and out of these rooms. Last little bit of insulation being installed around the base. Dupes have decided to dot a few pieces of radiant pipes, taking this warm liquid around, so we've got about 40 or 50 degrees here, but it is having a slow effect warming things up. It is looking a little bit more greener, but still, I think this radiant pipes, a few places, will be a big help. Things are going well, so the dupes decide to invite another dupe crusher to the team. We've got temperatures of 23 degrees going into this zone, 35 going out. So this area here is currently 52. I'm going to want to take that down at some point soon. But as you can see, dupes are starting to be a little bit more comfortable. Just a tiny bit more insulation to go. The dupes managed to get 21 hatches filled in each of these stables. The dupes think it would be a good idea to put notification in each of the stables, so it'll blast their ears if either the stable has too many critters, over 8, including eggs, or have too few, not including eggs. If we're not careful, we need to take this temperature down, so let's bring this down to 35 degrees. We're also going to check the temperature on the way out. If liquid is not warm enough after going through this setup, we'll also raise the temperature a little bit. Currently, we've got temperatures of 35. I'll set it to be 25 once that's built. So we're checking both the temperature here plus the temperature of the liquid going out. Looking for 25 degrees. This is looking for 40 or 35. Still too warm for long term, but for the moment that's going to be fine. Let's look at the temperature that this heating line has created within the base itself. So decent in certain areas. The still have the edges where we've insulated that needs to be warmed up, but that will warm up in time. Dupes don't spend a lot of time there, so that's not really going to be an urgent thing. But we've got lots of food for the dupes. We're going to be switching to barbecue meat with these stables. We even have a alerting system for that if something goes wrong. We've got a lot of research done over the last little bits. The dupes haven't really focused on farming because they're reusing the micro musher. Technically, we're getting work towards the locavore achievements, but I suspect we're going to go right to barbecue meat instead of doing farming. It is pretty cold area to try to do some farming, though. Now that we're warming things up, it is a possibility that once I get the locavore achievement, I could get my dupes to work on that. But I think the biggest thing on the dupes' mind, apart from the fact that it's finally getting a little bit more comfortable temperature-wise, is the fact that the liquid that is sitting down here is limited. There's nothing that's adding new liquid, and this is what's being used to generate oxygen. So that is a huge concern, but that is going to be another day's effort, along with all kinds of other things, such as exploring this asteroid. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching as I test out what it's like to be on a chilly asteroid. It may not be similar to the DLC. DLC has new critters and other plants, but at least it's given me some sort of idea of what I need to do to maintain temperature early on in this game. I think I will at least do one more episode to expand this, but I will be quite excited when this new DLC arrives. And you'll definitely see a video of me trying to survive in that. Until then.